Greetings, Glitter Gang. Welcome back to part 2 of the Thursday night show on Thursday, November 19th. This is the last show before we take a break for Thanksgiving. It's the last show of November. And we just finished doing the page that you see on my desk now. So we're just going to move the book one page over and start to work here. So now we've got to keep this in mind and this in mind when we work on this. So I think what we are going to want to do is probably recreate this because that way we're going to get the horizontal, the more horizontal photos in between the two vertical enlargements. So since we already did that, we should be able to whiz through it if I don't, you know, have some kind of like meltdown and forget how to craft, which that has happened before. You've all witnessed it. So, you know, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So let me find the notebook that I wrote in last time. All right, so those are my notes. And then we need to pick up background paper, and I'm going to keep it pretty simple because very little of it's going to show. I just want it to be mostly gray, I think, and then we'll do the frame mostly orange. So I think maybe the bat frame. I guess we could do the bats over at Galaxy. Let me. That's too busy. What about this? That's too plain. I kind of like that as a background. We just have to find something that could go over it as a frame. So it's going to be something, going to have to be something with a larger scale. That's a maybe. That's better, but still not quite, I don't think. The front still looks like eyes. It does. It looks like owl eyes. Well, you know, we did wood before, and this is kind of an orangey wood. So we could do... Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me again. We could do an orangey wood again. What if I flipped it and I did the background orange? Because not much of it's going to show anyways. And we did a gray pattern. I might do the ghosts. I've been wanting to use the ghosts. So I'm going to do the ghosts on the words. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do 8 1/4 by 10 3/4 again because that was a little too small for this one. So I think it'll work well for this one. Okay. So I'm going to ink this and stick it down. And then we'll make another pocket. Okay, so let's stick this down. One thing I can tell you from moving this as much as I have is that it definitely holds up to abuse because I've been folding it every which way and throwing it here, there, and everywhere, and it's still doing fine. So okay, so yeah, so they'll get in at some point tomorrow. Then my brother gets in Saturday afternoon. And I think Mr. Lifeguard is going to go pick him up at the airport, and they're going to stop at the Honey Baked Ham store on the way back because dinner, the wedding dinner is a potluck because it's an outdoor wedding with very few attendees. So there was like no point in having it catered or doing anything fancy at all, really. So it's just a potluck for like family, really. But when we got the list of what everyone was bringing, there wasn't a lot of like meat, you know, it was a lot of sides, like a lot of sides and a lot of dessert, but there wasn't like any main meals. So we're just going to pick up a honey baked ham. You know, Mr. Lifeguard's just going to say, just give me the biggest ham that you have. And that way there'll be plenty of ham for everyone. And that'll be nice. People like honey baked ham for the most part, I guess, unless you don't like ham at all. Well, it's funny because I was joking around that I was just gonna take Damien's head and tape him onto the groom's head in the album I already made because it took me so long and it was so much work. And I said I'm just gonna teach a series on how to reuse your albums when family members get divorced. So I said that's what the class would be. The class would be on album conversion. So like if you have a family member that you need to get rid of for some reason, how to convert your albums so that they're not there anymore. So I said that's what I would do, a workshop on that, and then I would use her book so as an example, you know. So anyway, I thought that was hilarious, but she didn't. So obviously she has no sense of humor. So. See, you guys think it's funny, so I don't know what her problem was. All right. So, okay, so now I'm just going to lay this gently on the floor, and I'll make the insert. And do you see this where it's 7.5 by 9.5? I'm going to make it 7.5 by 10, and I'll explain why when I put it together. Wait, that's the finished size. I did this last time. I'm going to make it 8.5 by 10.5. You know how much work went into it, so that's why you think it. That's true. That's true. You know how long it takes to do what? It took me 5 years. It took me 5 years. I gave it to them just before their, or no, 3 years. It took me 3 years. So I gave it to them just before their 3-year anniversary, and they got divorced a month. Well, he asked for a divorce a month after their 3-year anniversary. So I finished it just in time. Just in time. So on the 10.5-inch edge, score at 1/2 inch and at 10 inches. And on the 8.5-inch edge, score at 8 and 8.5 inches. Or 8 at 1/2 inch and 8 inches. So, all right, so then that's scored. So anyway, I mean, the alternative would be I could think of a new way to do a wedding album. But honestly, I thought the way I did the wedding album last time was great. So that's one of my favorite things I've ever put together, that class. So, you know, it's going to be hard to top it. My throat's getting dry. I need a water break. This is a time for everyone to hydrate up. So the way that you can view the wedding album is the original collection commotion workshop is talks about when you're starting a big project. So the wedding album was what I used as the exemplar for my collection commotion workshop. My collection commotion workshop is a little bit different from other workshops in that it's a lot of theory in it. So it talks about how if you have a big event, so like say you went on an epic vacation or you got married, and you have a ton of photos, 300, 500 photos, and you want to do an album and you're trying to figure out how. It's a way to edit the photos. So it literally talks about editing the photos in the sense of you don't need to do layouts for every photo. Every photo doesn't need to be on a layout. You know, it just doesn't, because a lot of the photos are telling the same story as other photos. So what it talks about is like how to go through your photos and pick the photos that need to be highlighted, you know, and then what to do with the photos that didn't make that first cut, you know, that don't need to be highlighted in the same way. And then how to plan the story of your album. So like what is the story you're telling from beginning to middle to end, and then how to fill in what layouts you need to do to tell that story, what photos, how many layouts total you're going to need to do, and then how to calculate how many supplies and embellishments you'll need based on how many layouts you have to do, and then that you should buy them all before you start the project, because if you run out halfway through and you've been working on the project for 2 years, you're not going to be able to get any of that stuff. And like it's all about that. It's all about that. And then I show you how to do either 6 or 12 layouts, I don't remember, and how to do, and then what to do with the like photos that made this, that went into the pile B. So like I did layouts for some of the pile A photos, and then I showed you what to do with some of the pile B photos. And that all is contained within the collection commotion workshop. But all the layouts that were for the like the photos that tell the story that weren't included in collection commotion are in the archives. I only worked on that album on camera, which is partially why it took me 3 years, because I only worked on it you know, here and there in between projects, longer projects on the show. So I could have done it much faster. You know, I could have been done. So you can purchase Collection Commotion if you want the whole thing. If you already have the archives and you want the whole thing, then you purchase Collection Commotion, and then everything that's not in Collection Commotion is in the archives. So there's nothing that's not on camera. That album was 100% on camera, but it is in 2 pieces. So it's partially in Collection Commotion and it's partially in the archives. So to see all of it, you would need both. But you can see the layouts. Let me go look and see what they're called. Because, you know, past Kathryn's naming scheme is sometimes, you know, I mean, you know, because you are in the archives, so you get it. Like, she's much better now than she was in ye olden times. So that's why, if you've ever noticed that the file names are so long now, that's because I want to make it easy to find them. Okay, so they're in the classroom archives. Hopefully they're called something like Liz's Wedding. Wouldn't that be nice? They are not called Liz's Wedding, so that's a bummer. Oh man, cool. Maybe they're in a folder called Layouts and like a subfolder called, called Liz's Wedding. Oh, hey, okay. So they're not organized that well. Of course not. So the way that they are in the archives is they're in the classroom archives, first of all. And then they're in the folder called Layouts. So you go to classroom archives, then go to Layouts. And then in the layouts, they're literally just in there by date. And then they say wedding layout if they're a wedding layout. So yeah. So there's some layouts in the folder that aren't wedding layouts, but they're almost all wedding layouts. Let me just go to the Ustream archives and make sure there aren't any in there. No, there are not any in there. So they're all in the classroom archives in the layouts folder. Yeah, and so the workshop is called Collection Commotion, and it's in the shop. Oh, there's a bike on all the pages. Yes, I was doing a monthly layout class with them. Yes, that's what I was doing, Candy. Thank you. Yes, that was all coming back to me. But there was a bike on all the pages. I remember there was a brief crisis when I was running out of bikes and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. But we did eventually, some people kindly sent me bikes. We were able to get it done so that every page has been, every page has the date of the wedding on it, and every page has a bike on it. Okay, so now, anyway, so maybe I'm going to ponder what I'm going to do about the wedding, because honestly, you know, I probably should do something, but I have to think, you know, I've got to think of something. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to line my paper up. And if you ever wonder why I line my paper up with a line on my desk and then I line my ruler up instead of lining my ruler up with the paper, it's because the line extends up and down. So it's just easier. All right. And so we need to come in from the score line. It's 1 1/4 inches. right. That's lined up really well on the first try. That made me very nervous. Oh, we could do a cat on every page. We could. We could. Well, I asked her where the wedding album is. So when we were moving from Texas to here, there was some talk about destroying the wedding album, and I was like, I spent so much time on that, and it's part of my business, so you can't destroy it. I'm sorry. Like, we can put it away so you don't have to look at it, but you can't destroy it. You know. I was like, but so I saved it, and it did get packed. So it made it here to Florida, I know, but I haven't seen it. So I think it's probably like in a box in the garage in some of her boxes that are like her household stuff that didn't get moved here, you know, or that got moved here, but it isn't in the house because she uses our stuff because we live together. So, well, the cats shredded it because they're little jerk butts, but they clawed it to death. It had only been in their house for like, you know, not even 24 hours before the cats clawed it to death. But the thing is, they don't claw anymore. Like, I think they were just like frazzled, you know. I think they were stressed. Because they don't do stuff like that anymore. Really. It's probably with my glass mat. They're together in a box. So, oh, wouldn't it be nice if the Disney album was, I mean, not the Disney album, because that would be a copyright violation, but like the theme park album. It would be nice if it was with the theme park album. So maybe while the parents are here, I'll get my brother to go in the garage with me and we'll like open every box and look for it and find it so that I can show it to you. Because I would like to have it, because like I said, I worked hard on it. All right, so now I'm going to cut this window out. Ella, I think she means Melanie. Okay. No, the cats definitely clawed it. The cats definitely clawed it, which is annoying because I had the album embossed and everything. So, yeah, we all have to get our helmets on. Especially because there's a bunch of Damien stuff in the garage now. So, it's going to be a lot to wade through. We have a 3-car garage that cannot hold any cars. That's where we are. Oh, no, I know it was a joke, Donna. I know it was a joke. Yes. But it was definitely the cats. But yeah, they used to do more destructive stuff. They don't as much anymore. I mean, Kitty still does sometimes. She does, you know, but Tiny Cat doesn't as much. But they have more space to roam around. They can go outside. You know, there's no dog. I think the dog stressed them out, so. Okay. All right, so now we're going to put tape on the inside and the outside of all the flaps. But yeah, so yeah, maybe we'll have a class on fixing your albums for when your relatives do you dirty. So, but you know, this wedding will be so much smaller, and we're not doing as many of the things. You know, it's just going to be a quick ceremony, and then a luncheon, a potluck picnic luncheon. So, you know, there will be photos and stuff, but I don't think it won't need such an elaborate album. Like, there's not going to be a bunch of readings and things like that to go over, to do like we did in the last one. Yeah, the uninvited album. We can call it Collection Correction. That it will be workshop 2. Oh, I do need to do my wedding album. I kind of have a wedding album. I have a placeholder wedding album that I did, and then I was like, when I have time, I'll do my other wedding I'll do a full wedding album. So I haven't done mine yet. It's true. It's true. I mean, I have a full wedding album that shows like the wedding from beginning to end. But yeah, I do not have like, well, like what I did for my sister for Collection Commotion. But it's okay, because we only got married in 2006. So, you know, there's still time. There's still time. We haven't even hit our 20th yet. It's fine. It's fine. All right, so now I need a piece of cardstock that is 7 1/4 by 9 1/4 in white. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it on this piece, and then I'm just going to temporarily adhere it. So I'm just going to tape it with my drafting tape. And this is the Mr. Pen drafting tape, and I have a link to my Amazon favorites in the description of this live chat video always, and it has links to things like this tape. So if you're ever looking for something that I'm using, that's usually a good place to start. Okay, so now I'm just gonna stamp with the single stamp right in the window. So you're seeing an improvement over the way we did it this afternoon, because of course, if I have more than 2 minutes to think about something, I generally come up with a way I can improve it. Okay. Well, a lot of people, wedding is how they get into crafting, scrapbooking, looking for something to do with their wedding photos. I'm only a crafter because I got married, because I was not a crafter at all. And then for my bridal shower, my mom gave me like one of those K & Company scrapbooks kits where it was like the album and it was coordinating paper and coordinating stickers. And it was for a wedding. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like who even, what? That was my reaction. And then here we are. Here we are now. Here we are. So, so the way I got into crafting was that. And so then when we moved to our first apartment, I had thrown it in like a closet or something, and like the bottom of my linen closet. And when we moved to our first apartment, I found it, and I was like, oh, I should do something with this, because like, what if my mom comes over and wants to see what I did with the thing? So then I'm cutting my transparency to 7 1/4 by 9 1/4 as well. That's what I'm doing off camera right now. And I was like, what if my mom like comes over and is like, oh, what did you do with the album I gave you? And I'm like, oh, well, nothing, actually, nothing. I did nothing with it. So then I made an album, which is really super bad. Like, I've shown it before, but it's really bad. So then I was like, this is annoying. I would like to be better at this. And so that's when I started kind of going online and looking at blogs. And this would have been in like 2000, I don't know, it's like 2006. Fall of 2006 is when I started crafting. So there wasn't, I mean, there was blogs and stuff, but it wasn't like now. You know, it wasn't like where you could take classes and things like that. It was a lot different. And then I found a local scrapbooking store and I took some classes and I figured it out. And then when I started, YouTube was 2009, January of 2009, I posted my first YouTube video. So that's the progression. So from, and I don't, I've privated very few videos over the years. So if you want to see how bad I was at YouTube in the beginning as well, you can, because that is there for posterity as well. Like, this is a whole different setup from that. Like, I should take a picture of what my desk looks like when I'm broadcasting. Hold on. Once I finish taping this, I will. So, give you guys an idea. Now, in the beginning, and Ella and anyone else who's been with me since the beginning does know this, like my very first camera was just like a camera that I had a Gorilla Pod. So I had like my Canon, you know, Smart Shot, like my compact digital camera could record like 5 minutes of video. Like it was not even as good as an iPod, or not an iPod, an iPhone. I've got to get all the way back to get the whole rigmarole in here. All the way back. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can get it to, I forgot how to get it to autofocus. I forgot, there's a way to turn this off too. I have to remember how to turn that off. And yes, it is upside down for me as well. Hi, kitty. Okay, here we go. All right. Can you focus on this, please? Come here. What? What do you need? What do you need to actually focus on this? Why are you so terrible? Why is all my technology bad at everything? Kitty. 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 Why are you back? Are you? Oh, it's 11. That's why you're back. So I can't, well here, maybe what I'll do is I'll leave it down here and I'll zoom in. I can't believe this is where we are, but sure, why not? Oh good, now we're gonna have a cat stand in front of it. You're gonna, are you serious, Kitty? Are you serious right now? All right, first of all, we gotta take it off autofocus. Kitty. I've probably just destroyed my camera completely now. Now it can't zoom. Where's the zoom, Kitty? Kitty, where is the zoom? Oh, there it is. Hi. Hi, buddy. Hi. 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 I know. It's so hard to be a cat. It's so hard to be a cat. I'm so sorry that I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Kitty, can you put your face on the camera? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, but just stand on my, yeah. All right. Yeah. So the Scrap Beach was, well, is Kitty still on a diet? Yes, Kitty's still on a diet. Kitty will be on a diet probably forever. But Kitty's losing weight again. She gained back all the weight she lost because we ran out of her fancy diet food and we just fed her Purina cat chow for a while because we couldn't get it. And, you know, turns out the fancy diet food was actually doing something. So all right, let's see if I can get this now. And there you can see it a little bit. It doesn't really want to focus on this. I don't know how to tell it to do that. So apparently I've broken it. Oh. Oh, this is exposure. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know what to do. I broke my camera. So that's cool. I am so good at technology. It's not even funny. I feel like before I was able to do this, but I guess not. I guess not. I mean, you can read this. It looks like it's focused on that, huh? Is it focused? It's not exposure. Focus is adjusted automatically by the camera. Okay. Can you do this? Can you look at this? Oh my gosh. All right, fine. All right. So now I can show you everything. All right, so. All right, this right here, this is you guys chatting. That's where you chat. And this right here, this is my desk as the camera sees it. So that's how I know what you see. And then below it right here, all these, I don't know if you can see it, like where it's like green and red and whatever. That's like the microphone and all the different inputs. And then there's lights 1, 2, 3, and 4. These lights, the ones that are angled, they light the corners of the desk at the top right and top left. And then these high ones up here, they light the bottom right and bottom left corners. And then there's one right under the camera. So the to help the camera focus on things that are right in front of the lens. There's a light. I have it turned off right now because I'm looking at a screen. But see, now you can see all the fingerprints on my screen really well because I turned the light on. So that's like everything I have going on. And while I was standing up here holding this to show you, Kitty sat on my chair. So I'm going to have to do the rest of the show standing. But that's okay. All right. So yeah, back then, well, my YouTube name is still... And the everything is stuck to pipes with holes drilled in them. Like galvanized steel pipes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stick the transparency down. Yeah, Desticado, or Desticado. So the story there is, that's technically still my YouTube name, by the way. Like YouTube lets you change the way your channel appears. So my channel appears as Kathryn Scraps now, but it's still technically like my username is Desticado still. And then where that comes from is from, well, first of all, it's the Spanish word for depressed. Like super, but like super depressed, like sorrowful unto death. Okay. And there's a translation error in Sir Walter Scott's Ivanhoe, and it's a translation error that Sir Walter Scott made. So it's in all versions of Ivanhoe. There is a Spanish word very similar to desdichado that means disinherited. And that's the one that's the name he meant to use for Ivanhoe to use when he enters a tournament. In that book, he enters a tournament as the disinherited knight, and he has desdichado painted on his shield. But that, again, that is the wrong word. That word means depressed. It doesn't mean disinherited. That's another word. So he was confused. Sir Walter Scott was confused, and he used the wrong word. So what that means is two things. So that's one of my dad's favorite books. He also loves the miniseries. I have read the book. I enjoyed the miniseries, the Anthony Andrews one from like the 80s. And when I would be late, like coming home from things when I was in high school, he would say, when I got home, it's desdichado, meaning it's the disinherited one. And so that was, and still is, somewhat of my childhood nickname from my dad, is the disinherited one, which is, you know, that's cool. So the only people who recognize it are Spanish speakers. Think I'm just like a super depressed crafter. Or not anymore, because my name is Kathryn Scraps. But in the beginning, I did have people say to me that they thought that I was just like, thought I was like really depressed or whatever. But like the people who have seen or are familiar with Ivanhoe can get it. And the people who get it the most are people from Sweden. Because I guess every year on New Year's, like Ivanhoe, the miniseries Ivanhoe is broadcast over there, and they all watch it, and they all it's kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show. They all yell things at the screen, and they know all the lines, and they like shout along with some of the things that are happening, and so they recognize it. So people who are Spanish speakers and people from Sweden are the ones most likely to recognize my name. Okay, so one of these is going to get curled over the top so that it's going to cover the edge of the, it's going to cover the edge of the transparency when we're sticking stuff in the envelope, and it's also going to help keep this rigid at the top. I have to peel this tape off though, because it doesn't need tape. So I'm just going to peel this tape up. Kitty, why are you in my chair? Are you really mad? Are you really mad that this show is still going on? But anyway, so when I had a Swedish person tell me about that on my YouTube channel way back in the day, and I Googled it, and you can find articles about this cultural phenomenon. And I guess they get mad that and people, like, they're even, like, on radio shows, they'll talk about how, you know, they get so mad that Ivanhoe ends up with Rowena at the end, which I do too. Of course, everyone gets mad about that because it's just, he obviously should be with Rebecca, obviously, you know, but it's like, you know, of course he makes the wrong choice. So, like, every year, you know, but they groan, you know. It's just funny. It's just funny. So I thought that was really interesting. I was like, I need to go to, and they have like a clothing brand called Ivanhoe in Sweden and all kinds. So that's where I'm most understood is Sweden. But anyway, I do have a video on my YouTube channel explaining what desticcato means. And I mean, basically everything I just told you, but like where it comes from and everything. So I have a video about that where I'm making a layout explaining where it comes from and what it means. Kitty, it's very annoying. It's very annoying. Because you could be on camera doing cute stuff right now while I peel this tape. And instead you're lounging on my chair. She's like, this chair is comfortable and it was already warm, so. Of course I'm going to be right here. Where else would I be? I mean, she'll get up if I pretend like I'm going to sit on her, but yeah, so that was my very first, well, that's still what my YouTube channel name is. Then I had a whole beach theme for everything when I lived in Miami. And then when I moved back to Virginia, I was like, well, I'm not on the beach anymore. So I just went to Kathryn Scraps because, you know, that's my name and that's what I do. And that's going to work no matter where I live. And so that's the whole evolution of my branding. So from a word that very few people recognize or understand to something that will always be associated with me. So it's cool. All right, she's leaving. I took too long. She's going to go away and then she'll probably be back in a few minutes to complain again. Okay. So now that I have that tape off, so when you do yours, you know, leave one of the short ends tape free. All right. So now all I have to do is just recenter this. Okay. And tape the sides down. It's desticcato. Desticcato. But that's still my name. Like if you were to look up, if you look in the URL for the page you're on right now, you will see youtube.com/c/destachato/live. And this is always Dead Potato. Well, Dead Potato would explain why people thought I was depressed. So that would at least explain that. All right, so now we're going to put tape down across the top. In that little gap, and then in the middle. All right, so we're going to set that to the side, and then I'm going to get my ghost paper, and I'm going to cut it to 7 1/4 by 9 1/4. Just remember that my name is, that my dad's charming nickname for me is Disinherited One. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. But it's from a Spanish poem. So there's a Spanish poem called Destachato, I believe. The Dead Potato Society. That's what you guys should all be called. The Dead Potato Society. It's Dead Potato and the Dead Potato Society. But yeah, the Anthony Andrews Ivanhoe, for years and years we watched it on a VHS that my parents taped from like when it was on CBS as a miniseries event or something. So it had all these 80s commercials. And like a commercial for Toyotathon where the Toyota was, Corolla was like $3,000. And stuff like that. So the commercials became, you know, in the family as much fun and as much a part of the experience as anything else. And I actually still have the tape. I need to send it to, I have the hiccups. I need to figure out a way to get it like as a DVD. But I don't know if you can get stuff you recorded off of cable, you know, made into a DVD. Did Ivanhoe wear black tights? Well, there's an old Ivanhoe movie with like Tony Curtis or somebody like from way back. And then there's a mini series from the 80s or the 70s with Anthony Andrews, the actor Anthony Andrews. And that's the one that we watched growing up. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the corners. Just gonna use the glitter gang tool. Anthony Andrews was in like quite a few of these sort of like based on books miniseries, because he was in Scarlet Pimpernel also, and he was in Brideshead Revisited. And who else is in it? James Mason plays Isaac of York. Sam Neill, baby Sam Neill. He plays Brian Gilbert, who's the one of the bad guys. John Rhys Davies plays Fonteboeuf, another one of the bad guys. CBC in Nova Scotia failed you growing up once again. I mean, there's really great. Olivia Hussey plays Rebecca. I mean, it's a great cast. Fantastic acting. It's really great. I mean, you know, he doesn't end up with the right person at the end, but... Who was in Prince Valiant? Who was in Prince Valiant? Yeah, Olivia Hussey was in Romeo and Juliet, and she was in Jesus of Nazareth. So yeah, but those, yeah, and she's Rebecca in Ivanhoe. And then just generally, the plot of Ivanhoe is, Ivanhoe, the main character, is descended from, he's a Saxon, and he betrays his family when he goes to fight with King Richard in the Crusades, because his family sees that as him siding with the Normans in the Saxons versus Normans, like, beef, you know. And, which, FYI, the Normans won that one. So that's, like, plot number one. And then, so that's how he's the disinherited knight, because he's disinherited for this. And then he comes back from the Crusades, and he is basically told to pound sand by his family. But he's got a message he's got to get to someone. He's got some, like, mission he's on or whatever. Anyway, so he's in love with Rowena, and he wants to, like, he was betrothed to her before he got disinherited, and he's like, it's true love, like, for real, whatever. Anyway, King John is, you know, the king of England at this point, because Richard is probably in Austria, would be my guess, because he got held captive and ransomed by the king of Austria on his way back from the Crusades, I want to say. And then they're trying to raise the money to get Richard back so that John won't be king anymore. And then there's a subplot of the treatment of the Jews in England at this time. And that involves Isaac of York, who is played by James Mason, and his daughter Rebecca. His daughter Rebecca knows herbal remedies for stuff, so people think she's a witch. Because, of course. And then one of the knights is a knight's... and then one of the Knights Templar, I think, falls in love with her. And then his order is like, well, she's obviously a witch, or he wouldn't have fallen in love with her because he's a priest, whatever. So there's a whole plot around that. And, you know, at this time, historically, the treatment of Jewish people was kind of strange in England, where when the Normans didn't protect them, so people could kind of, you know, with impunity do whatever they wanted to them, typically. And King John changed that in that he put all the Jewish people of England under his personal protection, his personal royal protection. But he put this heavy, heavy, heavy tax on them. They basically had to pay for protection. So it was like you know, like when the like when the mafia makes a business pay to not get robbed, right? And so he's dealing with that, you know, throughout the I'm going to take autofocus off cuz it's making it kind of look weird in my camera. Like the lines were shaking up here, and I think that was the autofocus because now they're not doing it as much. So, and so like there's a plot involving Isaac having to deal with having to pay these ransoms everywhere, you know, to not get beat up and stuff like that. And Ivanhoe helps him out at some point, and so Isaac stakes him in a tournament and buys him his armor and all that. And Ivanhoe then spends a lot of time with Isaac and Rebecca, and like he and Rebecca seem like they might maybe have a thing. And then, you know, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. All right, ghosts. I'm going to need you guys to not be sticking in place until I tell you. Like earlier, you guys were not playing nicely. Yay! Okay, so now we have a clean edge here. This show is going on forever. So now we have a clean edge here, and that we can put a tag in easily. Okay. So now all we have to do is I'm going to stick this down, and then we'll make a tag, and then that'll be that page done. So the only thing we'll have left to do in this book when we come back after Thanksgiving are the inserts that are going to go here and here. Okay. All right, so now we just need to do the tag. So the tag is also 7 1/4 by 9 1/4. And okay, so I'm gonna quickly make a tab for it. And then because I like to live dangerously, I'm gonna draw the frames in pen to save myself some time. Oops, I already made this too big. Well, I said I like to live dangerously, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna pretend like that was on purpose. We're gonna extend the lines 1/4 inch past where they are supposed to go. and they'll go all the way to the top. All right, so from this line, I'm going to go up 4 1/4 inches. And then going to go up 1/8 of an inch. And then we'll go up 4 1/4 inches from here. And I'm just going to do one side. Okay. All right, so there it looks more intentional, kind of sketchy. So to make it look really like we did this on purpose, I'm going to trace over my lines. I'm going to double them up. So that's going to give it a little cute little vibe, a sketchier, cuter little vibe. I'm going to quickly stamp the insides of this and then we'll make a tab to go on it. Thank you very much to everyone who posted on my pictures. I really appreciate it. That made me feel so happy. Yeah, we got dressed up last night and I had my hair cut and styled and colored for the wedding. And we took pictures and we all felt so nice. And we really appreciated your kind words so much. All right, and then I would just do the same thing on the back, but I'm not going to do it just to save time. And so now we just need a piece of pattern paper that's going to look cute, sticking out of the top. Just trying to think. Okay, so I'm going to do this Boo to You from our crew. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to glue the other half of it to the back of it, so it looks like a full. I'm going to do 4 3/4. So then I'm going to tape these together. Thank you all so much for thinking of Liz and wishing her happiness. I'll try and take some pictures and post some pictures. Hopefully things won't be too crazy. And we have a nice relaxing day. But it is still a wedding. It is still a wedding, so. All right, I'm not going to go all the way to the edges this time because, you know, I had that problem with the tape last time. So I'm going to get the punch board. And so I've taped the two together with a piece of tape right there in the middle. Now I'm going to fold them and punch them with the punch board. Look how much easier that was than last time. All right. And now we're going to ink. Everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy, healthy, delicious. So this is how you can turn any border strip into a tab. easily. Turn it into a tab easily. Have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Thanksgiving. May your turkey be moist and delicious. And may you gain no weight whatsoever. Of course, since I made my lines all crazy, it's going to be hard to get this straight. Oh, I know what I can do. I know which line is straight down here, so I'm going to line the ruler up with the straight line. And that will give me a straight line at the top that I can use. So I'm going to pick it up, peel the tape, fold it over. And now that crafting tape is not what's holding it together. It's the tape, you know, the tape, the miracle tape. Okay. So our little ghosties are going to go right in here. Look at them sliding right in there. Boo! Boo to you from our crew is perfect for this page. Okay, so that's it for that layout. So now when we come back, we'll do the 2 inserts. So we'll be able to do inserts that hold more photos on those last 2 segments. And that's where we'll pick up next week when we come back. Not next week, because it's Thanksgiving in the US. Week after that. So I'll be back the first Thursday in December. And we will maybe finish this book? Question mark? Maybe. So everyone have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll try and post some pictures from the wedding, and if I can, I'm sure Liz will post some eventually if I can't. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.